This is day 4 notes for Algebra 1. Our focus today is trying to write an equation to represent a situation represented in a word problem. In every problem today, we're going to write one equation. You may have an x on one side, you might have an x on both sides. And then once we've done that, we will solve the equations to answer the questions. The focus of this set of notes will be writing the equations. I will go over how to solve them, but won't go into a lot of detail. If you need more help with solving, please go back and visit day 1 and day 2 video notes. Question number 1. You have $320 in the bank and save $10 each week. Your brother has $445 in the bank and spends $15 each week. Write and solve an equation to determine when you and your brother will have the same amount in savings. So what are we asked to do? We want our brother and you to have the same amount in savings. So we want you and your brother to have an equal amount. I also need to make sure I know what X stands for. And in this case, the key word is when. So when are you equal? So then we go back to what we know about you. You have $320 in the bank and you save $10 each week. Saving money means you're putting money into your account. You're adding to your account. So we know that you start with $320 and you add $10 a week. Well, week is time. When is also time. So we're going to go put an X on 10. So this says you now have $320 and you're adding $10 every week. We know that at some point in time you and your brother have the same amount. Well, what do we know about your brother? He has $445 in the bank and spends $15 each week. Well, spending means he takes money out or he's subtracting money from his account. So to represent your brother, we're going to write $445, what he has now, and he's spending or taking away $15 a week. So there's our equation. 320 plus 10x represents you equals 445 minus 15x. That's your brother. To solve that, here's your equation. We need to move all of our x's to the same side of the equal sign, so I added over 15. I had to take the constant, move it to the right, so I subtracted 320. We now have 25x equals 125. Divide by 25, we get x is 5 weeks. That answers the question, when will the two brothers be equal? So 5 weeks is our answer. Question number 2. A video store charges $8 to rent a game for 5 days. You must be a member to rent from the store, but the membership is free. A video game club in town charges only $3 to rent a game for 5 days, but the membership in the club is $50 per year. Write and solve an equation to determine how many times you would have to rent in a year to make getting a club membership a good deal. So basically we want to know, when is what you'd pay at this video store going to be equal to when it would be the same amount paying at the club. And once again, X is our key phrase, how many times or how many videos you need to rent so that the store fee and the club fee would be the same. So for the store, we know they charge $8 to rent a game for 5 days. So we're going to say 8x. $8 for every video that you rented. At the club, it's $3 to rent a game, but the membership fee is $50. So that means up front you pay $50 to the club, and then you pay an additional $3 for every video that you rent. So this represents the store, just $8 a video. The club, $50 up front, but then you only pay $3 per video to rent. And we want to know, in this case, when are these two fees the same? So here's our equation. I need to move all my x's to the left, so I subtracted. There's no other constants to move, so we divide by 5. We get x is 10. Now that's when the two stores, the video club and just the straight video store, are equal in price. But the question asks, when is it a better deal for you to join the club? So if at 10 videos they're equal, then at 11 videos, the club is going to be a better deal because you only pay $3 to rent a video. So at some point it's going to be cheaper. And when is that cheaper? At 11 videos. So the answer to our question is 11 videos. Question number 3. You're designing a house that is 40 feet wide. On the back side of the house are 3 windows equally spaced from one another. Each of the windows are 4 feet wide. There's 3 feet between each end window and both edges of the house. Write and solve an equation to determine how far apart the windows should be. So x is distance between windows. So if x is the distance between windows, then that means that this space and that space represents the distance between windows. Those are our x's. We know our house is 40 feet wide. We were told that the windows are 4 feet wide, so each window is 4 feet. And we know that there's 3 feet between each end window and both edges of the house. So that's 3 there and 3 there. So if I add up all of these pieces, I know that they're going to equal 40 feet. So we have 2 values that are 3's, so that's 6. We have 3 values that are 4, so that's 12. We have 2 x's, and that has to equal 40 feet. So here's our equation. The 2 distances between the window and the corner of the house. There's the 3 windows. There's the distance between the windows that we're trying to find for. We know it's a total of 40 feet. 6 and 12 are like terms. We're going to add them together to get 18. This is our only x term, so all we have to do is take this 18, move it over to the right-hand side to combine all constants together. So that gives us 2x equals 22, divide by 2, and our answer is x is 11 feet. So the windows need to be 11 feet apart. Question 4. A rock climbing gym charges non-members $16 per day to use the gym and $8 per day for equipment rental. Members pay a yearly fee of $450 for unlimited climbing and $6 per day for equipment rental. Write and solve an equation to find how many times you must use the gym to justify becoming a member. So, how many times? That's what x is. X is how many times. And we want to know, when are the 2 fees going to be the same? So what do we know about non-members? They spend $16 per day. So that's 16x. And they spend $8 per day for equipment rental. So that's an additional 8x. $16 to climb, $8 for equipment rental. This is what every non-member pays every time that they come into the store or into the gym. And we want to know, when is this going to be equal to just getting a membership? Well, we know members pay a fee of $450, but that $450 lets them climb an unlimited number of times, and it only costs them $6 per time to rent equipment. So this is our non-member, $16 per day, $8 for equipment per day, Members pay $450 for unlimited climbing, but they still spend $6 per day to rent equipment. Here's our equation. These are like terms, combine them together. We need to move all of our x's to the left, so we subtract. Divide both sides by 18. At 25 times, the two fees are equal. But the question asks, when is it better to become a member? So at the 26th time, the membership would have been a better deal. Question number 5. 20 less than a number is equivalent to 16 more than the opposite of the number. Write and solve an equation to find the number. So what are we asked to find? X is our number. Now, we need to think about something. The problem said 20 less than a number. So over here, 20 less than a number. Well, what does that mean? If you think of yourself as 14 years old, and I ask you, which one of these represents 5 years less than your age of 14, you would tell me this right here. This means 5 years less than 14. That would give you 9 years of age. So what this tells us is that when we want to subtract 20 less than, we need to put the minus 20 after something. So we're going to fill in here this where we have the 14, we're actually going to put x for our number, and then we're going to subtract 20 from it. 20 less than a number. So x is our number. We want 20 less than that, so that's minus 20 is equivalent to, that equals 16 more than, equivalent is equals 16 more than, that means we're going to add 16, the opposite of the number. Well, if I say the number 5, the opposite of 5 is negative 5. So if I want the opposite of my number, that's negative x. So the second side of our equation, on the right side of the equal sign, is the opposite of our number plus 16. Negative x plus 16. So here's our equation. X minus 20 equals negative x plus 16. The original number, 20 less than it, is equal to the opposite of the number increased by, or 16 more than that opposite number. Now if we solve this, there's our equation. We're going to add the x over, so all of our x's are on the left. Move the 20 over, so all of our constants are on the right. Divide, and you get that 18 is the number that we're thinking of. Question number 6. Mr. Bell's bonus question is the following. 2 less than. Oh, that phrase showed up here, 20 less than. So that means we're going to subtract 2 from something. 2 less than double my niece's age. So double means we're multiplying by 2, is 112. How old is Mr. Bell's niece? So x represents age of the niece. So what do we know? 2 less than double the age. So double the age means 2x, and we want 2 less than that is 112. Double the niece's age, 2 less than that is 112. So here's our work. There's the equation. Add 2 to get everything, all the constants to the right. Divide by 2. You find out that the niece is 57 years old. Question 7. Monica went to the coffee shop with her allowance money and spent $5.88 on latte. Phoebe started with triple the amount of money Monica had and spent $33.90 on a new skirt. Both of them now have the same amount of money. Write and solve an equation to find the amount of money Monica started with. So X is Monica's money. X is Monica's money. So what do we know about Monica? She went and spent money on coffee, but we don't know how much she started with. So that's what X is. So Monica started with some amount of money and she spent $5.88 on a latte. Then we get to Phoebe. Phoebe started with triple the amount. Well, triple means times 3. So Phoebe had 3 times what Monica started with. And we also know that Phoebe spent $33.90 on a skirt. So we're going to subtract $33.90. So our equation, Monica, X minus 588, she started with some money, spent $5.88 on a latte. Phoebe started with 3 times whatever Monica had, and Phoebe spent $33.90. Here's our work. There's the equation, Monica equals Phoebe. We want to move all of our x's to the same side of the equal sign, so I'm going to subtract 3x over. Then we have to move all our constants to the right, add over $5.88. I have negative 2x equals negative 2802. Divide, make sure you're dividing by negative 2. We end up with $14.01. If we had ended up with a negative amount of money, that would have been a problem. So it's good that all of our negatives here canceled out, giving us a positive answer. So we know that Monica started with $14.01 at the beginning of the day. Our last question. On Kyle's recent geography test, he got 7/9 of all the questions correct, which means he had 49 correct questions on his test. How many total questions were on the test? So X is total questions. We don't know how many that is. We have to find that out. So what do we know? That on the test, Kyle got 7/9 of all the questions correct. That's what we were told. He got 7/9 of all the questions correct. We also know that that means he got 49 questions correct. So there's our equation. 7/9 of all the questions on the test means Kyle got 49 questions correct. If we solve this, there's 2 ways we've discussed in class since we're dealing with a fraction. There's the original equation. This means 7/9 times x. You can undo multiplication by division. We've talked about how to use our calculator's fraction key to divide by a fraction, which is what I put in here. When I solve, I get x is 63. The other option that we've talked about, since that's a fraction, you can cancel a fraction by multiplying by its reciprocal. So if I multiply both sides by the reciprocal 9/7, put this in my calculator, 49 times 9/7, I get 63. So either option gives us the same answer. There were 63 questions on the test. So the focus today is writing one equation to represent a scenario and using your algebra equation solving skills to find the answer.